personal resemblance to the Hebrew family. Thus, Dr. Wolf, the Jewish missionary, says, "I was wonderfully struck with the resemblance of the Yosufuzye tribe of Joseph and the Chibere, two of their tribes, to the Jews." Moorcroft also says of Chiberes, "They are tall and of singularly Jewish cast of features." Second, they have been named by themselves Beni Israel, children of Israel, from time immemorial. Third, the names of their tribes are Israelitish, especially that of Joseph, which includes Ephraim and Manasseh. In the book of Revelation, the tribe of Joseph stands for Ephraim, Revelation 7, 6-8. In Numbers 36:5, Moses speaks of Manasseh as the tribe of the sons of Joseph, so that it is clear that both Manasseh and Ephraim were known by the name of the tribe of Joseph. Fourth, the Hebrew names of places and persons in Afghanistan are of far greater frequency than can be accounted for through Mohammedan associations, and indeed these names existed before the Afghans became Mohammedans. Fifth, all accounts agree that they inhabited the mountains of Ghore, Ghore, from a very remote antiquity. It is certain that the princes of Ghore belonged to the Afghan tribe of Soore, Sooree, and that their dynasty was allowed to be of very great antiquity even in the 11th century. They seem early to have possessed the mountains of Soliman or Solomon, comprehending all in the southern mountains of Afghanistan. Elphinstone, the author referred to, Elphinstone. Sixth, Afghan is the name given to their nation by others. The name they gave their nation is Pushtun, and Doctors Geary and Marshman assert that the Pushtun language has more Hebrew roots than any other. Page 147. The antiquity of the name of the country Kabul, or Kabul, is then established, and it is also shown that some peculiar people known as the tribes, the noble tribes, dwelt there at a very remote period. There is, therefore, good evidence that the present inhabitants of Kabul may be justified in asserting that from the earliest period of history they and their ancestors have occupied Kabul, and that from time immemorial they have been known as the tribes. That is to say, Israelitish tribes, such as they now assume themselves to be. According to Sir W. Jones, the West Persian authorities agree with them in their account of their origin, and resident and competent authorities, such as Sir John Malcolm and the missionary Mr. Chamberlain, after full investigation, assure us that many of the Afghans are undoubtedly of the seed of Abraham. Josephus Flavius, Antiquities, translated by Jewish W. M. Whitson, Hurst, Rees, Orman, Brown, published, London. What, do you stretch your hopes beyond the river Euphrates? Do any one of you think that your fellow tribes will come to your aid out of Adiabene? Besides, if they would, the Parthians would not permit them. Volume XI, Part V, that would be 5:11:5, page 2. Then, as follows, this is a quotation from a Yesich king, Agrippa, to the Jewish to submit to the Romans and not to look to the Jews from beyond the river Euphrates. Josephus was in the reign of Vespasian in the latter part of the first Christian century. Next work cited, a personal narrative of a visit to Chuzin, Chuzin, Kabul in Afghanistan. G.T. Vigne, V-I-G-N-E, F-R-G-S, his title. London, Whitaker Publishers, 1840. These words, pages 166 and 67. Mullah Khudadad, a person learned in the history of his countrymen, read to me from the Mujma'ul Unsal, collection of genealogies, the following short account of their origin. They say that the eldest of Jacob's son was Judah, J-U-D-H-A, whose eldest son was Osruk, who was the father of Okour, the father of Muslib, the father of Farlai, the father of Kis, the father of Talut, the father of Ermiach, the father of Afghans, whence the name of Afghans. He was contemporary with Nebuchadnezzar, called himself Beni Israel, and had 40 sons, whose names there is no occasion to insert. His 34th descendant in a direct line after a period of 2,000 years was Qis, spelled here K-Y-S. From Qis, who lived in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, there have been 60 generations. Sulum, the eldest son of Afghans, who lived at Sam, Damascus, left that place and came to Ghura Mishkon, a country near Herat, and his descendants gradually extended themselves over the country now called Afghanistan. Cyclopedia of Geography by James Boyce, M.A., LL.D., F.R.S.E., and Keith Johnson, F.R.G.S. Second edition, William Collins, Publishers, London and Glasgow, 1880. Under heading Afghanistan, page 25, History and Relations, the name Afghan is not used by the people themselves. They call themselves Pushtuns, and in the plural, Pushtauneh, from which perhaps comes the name Putin, given to them in India. They trace their origin to Saul, king of Israel, calling themselves Ben Israel. According to Sir A. Burns, their tradition is that they were transplanted by the king of Babylon from the Holy Land to Ghora, G-H-O-R-E, lying to the northwest of Kabul, and lived as Jews until A.D. 682, when they were converted to Mohammedanism by an Arab chief, Khalid ibn Abdallah, who had married a daughter of an Afghan chief. No historical evidence has ever been adduced in support of this origin, and it is perhaps a mere invention founded upon the facts mentioned in 2 Kings 8-11. However, this may be. All travelers agree that the people differ strikingly from the neighboring nations, and have among themselves one common origin. They are said by some to resemble Jews very much in form and features, and they are divided into several tribes, inhabiting separate territories and remaining almost unmixed. History of Afghanistan by Colonel G. Mallison, M-A-L-L-E-S-O-N. W. H. Allen and Company, Publishers, London, at the India Office, 1878. Page 39. I turn now to the people of Afghanistan, to the tribes who occupy the country and who command the passes. The subject has been treated at great length by Mount Stuart Elphinstone, by Ferrier, who quote largely from Abdullah Khan of Herat, by Beluz, and many others. Following Abdullah Khan and other Afghan writers, Ferrier, F-E-R-R-I-E-R, is disposed to believe that the Afghans represent the lost 10 tribes and to claim them descent from Saul, king of Israel. Among other writers concurring in this view may be mentioned the honored name of Sir William Jones. On the other hand, Professor Dorn of Kharkov, who examined the subject at length, rejects this theory. Mount Stuart Elphinstone classes it in the same category as the theory of the descent of the Romans from the Trojans. The objections to Abdullah Khan's view have been recently expressed, fittingly and forcibly, by Professor Dawson, D-O-W-S-O-N, in a letter to the Times. If, writes that gentleman, it were worthy of consideration, it is still inconsistent with the notion that the Afghans are descendants of the lost 10 tribes. Saul was of the tribe of Benjamin, and that tribe was not one of the lost 10. There remains the question of features. This, no doubt, has its weight, but cannot prevail against the more important question of language. Professor Dawson then proceeds to show that the Afghan language has no trace of Hebrew in it, and concluded by pronouncing the supposition that in the course of time the whole Afghan race could have changed their language as, quote, too incredible. Finally, L.P. Ferrier, History of the Afghans, translated by W.M. Jesse, John Murray, London, 1858. Page 4. When Nadir Shah, marching to the conquest of India, arrived at Peshawar, the chief of the tribe of Yusuf Ziez presented him with a Bible written in Hebrew and several other articles that had been used in their ancient worship and which they had preserved.